We are on page 445, lesson 21, session 2. We are working on adding mixed numbers, right? Could you see the whole board in that camera view before I get started? There we go. So we are adding mixed numbers. So I can get my screen to pull up. There we go. Warm up. We're going to skip this for right now. We're going to go right into the question. Who wants to read it for us? Go ahead and read it loud, Jacob.
Alright. This markers one?
Yep.
Alright. Markers come in boxes of 8. For an art project, one group of students uses one. What is it?
5/8. Remember?
1 5/8 boxes of markers, and the other group uses 1 6/8 boxes. How many boxes of markers do the groups use altogether?
Markers come in boxes of 8. For an art project, one group of students uses 1 5/8 boxes of markers, and another group uses 1 6/8 of boxes. How many boxes of markers do the two groups use altogether? So take a couple minutes to think about how many markers, how many boxes of markers the groups used all together, and work on that on your own. And try to go back to your before spring break and how we would solve a problem like this. Not right this minute. I'm not going to ask you how, not yet. So go ahead and work on that on your own for a couple minutes. That's fine. Then you highlight again. Michael's here. Michael's here. Yep. Yeah, you're going to sit down and just try it on your own. This is stuff we still worked on. You're not completely done though. You're not completely done. No, you're not done. You add the fractions. Did you add the whole numbers? Add the whole numbers up too. All right. So how do we add mixed numbers? Amelia?
You could add the fractions and then add the mixed.
You could add the fractions and then add the whole numbers, right? So my fractions are what?
5/8 6/8.
So I have 1 and 5/8. We can't see this marker, remember? We have 1 and 5/8, right? And 1 and 6/8. We can add the fractions first. How do we add fractions? What do we add?
The numerator.
The numerators, right? We add the top numbers to the numerators. 5 plus 6 is what?
11.
Then what do we add? Do we add the 8s? No, they just are on the bottom, right? They stay the same.
Yeah.
Then I just add what?
The mixed.
1 plus 1 is
2.
2 11. Is that proper though?
No.
No, it's improper. Do you remember how to make it proper?
Yes.
How do we make it proper, Nolan?
You see if 11
Ask how many 8s can I pull out of 11, right? Can I pull any 8s out of 11?
Yes, 1.
I can pull 1 out, right? To carry it. And I have 8, then I just have 11 minus 8, right? And this really becomes 3/8. So we have 1, and then 1 plus 2 is 3, right? So it really becomes 3 and 3/8. That makes sense? Any questions when we did there? Did it all make sense how we did that? Erase that and go on to the next one. So, you can use a picture to help it solve it, right? Did anybody draw a picture? Alright, so we need to get a math book out now. There we go. Could anybody draw a picture?
No.
Could you have done it though?
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty easy. We take the first group. They have one whole box, right? How many did we say were in one box?
8.
8. So they put 8. They broke one whole box, shaded 8. And then they used how many? The second box. They used 5/8, right? So they took 5 out of the total 8 out of the second box, right? Plus one box. The second group used one whole box. And 6/8. So there's only 2 markers left in it, right? And then you just add up the gap spaces left. You add them up. We have one whole box, another whole box, right? Then you add up these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and you shade them in the rest of the way. So then I have
3.
one whole box, 3 whole boxes, and then 3/8 left over, right? Does that make sense how we did that?
Yeah.
You could do it that way. You could use a number line. What would we break each hole into on a number line? 8s, right?
Yeah.
Because we're counting. What's our denominator?
8.
Our hole is being broken into what? How many pieces?
8.
8. Where's your math book? So you have 8 pieces, right? We break it into 8 pieces, and then we have 1 and 5/8. Add one whole is 2 and 5/8, plus 6/8 gives us 3 and 3/8, right? Make sense? Any questions, comments, concerns? Remember that one whole box is 8 markers, which is the same thing as 8/8, right? Yes, Jacob.
Is it okay if I don't use the pictures? If I don't
Use whatever is easiest for you.
those are more confusing.
Oh, so you add 1?
Yeah.
And then, oh, I thought it was 2.
No, it's 3 and 3/8. Because we carried the 1, remember? So what is the sum of just the whole numbers of 1 and 5/8 plus 1 and 6/8? What's the sum of just the whole numbers?
2.
What is it, Amelia?
2.
It's 2, right? The sum of just the whole numbers is 2. What is the sum of just the fractional part of 1 and 5/8 plus 1 and 6/8? If we just add just the fractions.
11.
11 over 8, or what else?
Or
And we made it proper.
3. No. Yeah.
No. It's what in 3/8? Yes, Chris?
1 and 3.
1 or 3/8, right? Because if I take 8 away from 11, I have 3 left over, and I pulled one whole out, right? Does that make sense? If I have 11 over 8, I can pull a whole out, right? Pull a whole 8 out of 8, and I'll have 3/8 left over, and then 8 over 8 because that I pulled out becomes a 1. Think about how many holes are in 11/8 and how many extra 8s are there. So 11/8 equals 8/8 plus what?
Plus 8. No. Plus. What's it?
11/8 equals 8/8 plus what, Chris? 3/8. Right? 8/8 plus 3/8 equal 11/8. So 8/8 equals what?
1
One whole. So 11/8 equals 1 plus what?
3.
3/8, right?
I said 3.
Yeah, you were kind of there. You were stuttering there a little bit. Now, now add the sum of the whole numbers to the sum of the fraction. So now I just add my 2 from right here, plus the 1,
3.
which becomes 3,
3.
and plus the 3/8 that's left over, right? I get 3 and 3/8. Does that make sense? How we did that?
Yes.
Comments, questions? So how do we add mixed numbers? Huh?
Like breaking it up.
What are we breaking up?
The fractions.
We're adding the whole numbers and the fractions, right? Add whole numbers together. Then adding fractions together, right? Make sense? Is that all we did? We just add the whole numbers together and then add the fractions together. Questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question.
Yes.
So like, you know how it's 3
Yeah.
So like, I don't know how to put it in a question.
What are you thinking then?
Like, why would we add the 1 to it?
Why are we adding 1 to 1? We add 1 to 2 eighths. Look at it like this. I have, we're going to go to the big whiteboard. I have 1 and 5/8, right? Plus 1 and 6/8. Think of it like adding with carrying. What's 5/8 plus 6/8? 11/8, right? Can I pull 1 whole out of 11/8? Is that greater than 1? 11/8 is greater than 1, right? Because what is 1? What is 1 over 8? What is 1?
Oh, one is 1 whole.
Yeah, and what's 1 whole of 8?
Make
What would be 1 whole of, if I was to put something, what is, so you said 1 whole, right? Equals what over 8? 8 over 8 is equal to 1 whole, right? Can I pull 8 out of 8 out of 11 over 8? Can I pull a whole out of 11/8? Yeah, I can. So I'm going to pull 1 whole out of it. So it's 11/8 equals 1. And what is, I got to take away the 8 out of this 11/8, so right? Which would equal, so I do 11/8 over 8 minus 8 over 8, which subtract equals 3/8, right? So this 11 over 8 is the same thing as 1 over 3/8, right?
Oh, okay.
So then this 11/8 can turn into
3.
3/8. I carry my 1.
Okay, so you can only pull 8 out of 11 once.
Yes.
That's why.
And that's where I get my 1 whole from. 1 plus 1 plus 1 is...
3.
It's just like regular addition for whole numbers. We're carrying still, aren't we? We're breaking it down and then we're carrying over. Does that make more sense, Amelia? Does that clear up a lot of questions?
Yeah.
That's how that works.
So if you could pull 8 out of 11 2 times, which you can't, but
Say I had, instead of 11, I had 21. How many holes can I pull out of 21?
2.
I can pull 2 out, right? So I can pull 2. So I subtract 8 out of 8. Subtract. I still have 13/8, right? Can I pull another 1 hole out of there?
Yeah.
Yes, I pull another one out of there. 8 out of 8, and I have, I have 5/8. I can pull 2 out of there, right? It depends on how many 8s can I pull out of 21, tells you how many holes I can pull out, right? Does that make sense now? Any questions on any of this stuff right here? Okay, good. Skip the reflect it. Number 7. Mr. Suarez sells pies at a fair. Mrs. Suarez sells pies at a fair. She sells 3 and 5/6 pies the first day and 1 and 3/6 pies the second day. How many pies does she sell in all? Show your work. You go ahead and work on that one on your own. Alright. So how are we going to do this? How are we doing this? Caden? The what? So we're adding the fractions first, right? So we have 3 and 5, 6. Plus 1. That does not look like a 6 at all. 1 and 3, 6, right? He says to add the numerators to the fractions first. So what is my numerators? What is it? Caden? 5 plus 3 is 8. Do I add the denominators? I just leave it the same, right? Can I pull a whole out of the 8, 6? What? So I have 8, 6, right? What is the whole number over 6? What is it going to be? 6 over 6. So I subtract, right? 6 over 6 minus 8 over 6. 8 minus 6, I get 2, right? And so I pulled one whole out, right? And I wind up having what? 2 over 6, right? So now I just add. 1 plus 3 is 4. Plus 1 is
5.
What's my answer?
5, 2, 6.
5. She sells 5 and 2 6 pie, right?
Oh no, yeah, correct.
How many people got that? Just curious. You understand what you're doing?
No.
Not nothing too terribly hard, right?
No.
Yes, Jacob.
How did you get the so you had your 3 and your 1 for like you know how you do 3, 5, 6?
Yeah.
So you know your 3 and 1, you add that. How did you get 5 if there was only 3 and 1?
Because there was one hole if you added up the fractions, remember? I pulled one hole out of there. Because 5, 6 plus 3, 6. 5, 6 plus 3, 6 equals what?
5.
8, 6, right? Can I pull one hole out of 8, 6?
Yes.
So I pull one hole away. So I'm going to take one hole out, subtract 1. I don't know why I just added. Subtract 1. I would have 2, 6 left over, right? And I have that one hole, so I add the 1. 3 plus 1 is 4. Plus that additional hole I pulled out makes it 5. It makes sense now? Show 2 different ways to add 3 and 2 fifths plus 2 and 1 fifth. So just show me, add them. Add them together. Just one way is fine. Just add them together. Give me the right answer. Alright, so let's go ahead and add this one up. We have 3 2/5, right? And 2 1/5. Add them together, right? 2 plus 1 is 3 over what?
5.
Can I take any holes out of that?
No.
No, that's smaller than 1, isn't it?
No.
Because the numerator is smaller than the denominator. So now your 3 plus 2 is?
5.
Is that my answer?
Yep.
That's my answer.
5. Yes, I got it right.
How many you got that? That's pretty basic stuff, right?
So, but then if you could get a, so if there was like a bigger number and you could get
I could pull, hold on, I'd
so
hear,
then it'd be 6.
and whatever.
Yeah.
Whatever, yeah. Yeah, it's just like carrying when we add, right? Think of it like this. When we have, say I have 25 or 27
And 12.
and 13, you know, it'll be like 14. Add them. 7 plus 4 is what?
7 plus 4 is 11.
11. I don't put 11 here though, do I?
No, you carry it.
I carry my 10 over. It's the same thing.
That's 4.
Because when I add my fraction, is my fraction greater than the ones? So I carry a 1 over. Does that make sense? It's the same idea. It's you're carrying, when it gets greater than the place value it's in, you carry it over, right? Make sense? Alright, Beth goes on vacation for 4.5 days in June and 8.5 days in July. How many days is Beth on vacation in June and July all together? Show your work. So just line them up top, right? Line them over each other. I have 4 1/2, and I have 8 1/2, right? Adding them up. 1/2 plus 1/2 equals what?
2.
What is that really?
That's 1 whole, so then you add
I cross it out, carry it over, right?
2 and you add 5 and 8 and that's 13.
So 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 8 is,
13.
how many days was she on vacation?
13 days.
I didn't need to show that. You guys already knew that, didn't you? Yeah, 13 days is a long vacation, isn't it? How was your 13-day vacation, Sweezy?
That's almost 2. Oh.
Your spring break
That's
trip.
almost 2 weeks.
Spring break
It
was
is.
what, 14 days?
No, it's not. Dude, it's 14 days.
Or not,
is
no,
10
that's
weeks.
what it'd be. It'll only be 7 days.
Yeah.
You survived it?
Huh?
You survived it, right? Was it a long enough trip?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
I was waiting.
All right. That is all I have in the lesson today. The green pages are yours, page 449 and 450. We will see you guys in the video. We will see you tomorrow. As soon as I get this thing exited out of.